When plague and fear swept across Europe centuries ago, they didn't only take lives, they changed how neighbors saw each other. The Black Death turned suspicion into weaponry, and Jewish communities, already isolated, became the easiest scapegoats. Disease killed millions, but persecution destroyed something deeper, Europe's conscience. Yet this fear had roots far older. To understand it, we go back to 1096, when faith, greed, and violence first fused into one, in the days of the First Crusade. November 27, 1095. At Clermont, Pope Urban II calls for a holy war. His words electrify Europe. Christ's tomb lies in the hands of unbelievers. Take up the cross. Your sins will be forgiven. A promise of salvation. A call meant for knights, but heard by all. The message spreads like fire through winter winds. Preachers carry it from church to marketplace, from noble hall to village square. But in that fiery devotion, a darker thought stirs. If God calls Christians to fight the enemies of Christ, why march east, when those enemies live among them?
For centuries, Jews had lived across Europe, moneylenders, scholars, physicians, traders. Their role in lending, forbidden to Christians, made them both necessary and resented. When crusading fever caught hold, resentment found new voice. Before cleansing Jerusalem, cleanse Europe itself.
Through the winter of 1095 and into spring 1096, excitement turns to movement. Thousands, peasants, knights, priests take up the cross. Among them walks Peter the Hermit, a gaunt preacher who claims divine vision. His words stir crowds. They march east, unprepared, believing heaven will feed them. But hunger comes, and with it, justification.
In Trier, Jewish leaders offer food and gifts, hoping to avoid violence. Peter moves on, but others take notice.
Then comes Count Emicho of Leiningen, a nobleman whose zeal burns into fanaticism. He gathers thousands, convinced that purging Christ's enemies at home will win God's favor abroad. His followers march with crosses and swords, chanting of purification. Behind them, law and mercy fall silent. Emperor Henry IV, far away in Italy, orders protection for the Jews. But words from distant rulers cannot stop mobs fueled by faith and famine. Even Godfrey of Bouillon, praised by later chroniclers as a pious crusader, allowed, encouraged, and profited from the same hatred. Jewish records say he swore to leave no Jew alive on his way to the east unless they paid for their safety. And they did. Silver, gold, desperate gifts for a mercy that never came.
In Speyer, Bishop John shelters Jewish families within his own palace. For a moment, order holds. Yet outside the walls, crowds stir, and a few fall to mob fury. Fear spreads faster than truth. Weeks later, the same cry rises in Worms. The bishop there too opens his gates, but Emicho's forces are larger now, their anger sharpened by rumour and greed. They demand conversion or death. Many refuse, choosing faith over fear. Chroniclers record that entire families stood firm, their names preserved as martyrs in Jewish memory.
From Worms, Emicho marches to Mainz, the jewel of the Rhineland. Rich, learned, a beacon of Jewish life. Word of his approach races ahead. Bishop Ruthard promises refuge. He bars his gates. Yet when Emicho arrives, the city's defenses break under pressure. The bishop flees. His promise dies with him.
Mainz falls in days. Homes are stripped, synagogues burned, scrolls destroyed. The entire community, one of the oldest and brightest in Germany, is erased. Chroniclers like Solomon Bar Simpson and the Mainz Anonymous preserve the memory in sorrowful detail, calling the fallen Kedoshim, the Holy Ones. They write of unshakable faith, of loss that echoes beyond the century.
Emicho's army pushes north to Cologne, but by then most Jews have fled or found shelter with sympathetic neighbors. The crusaders arrive to find silence and no glory. Their fanatic march begins to falter.
By the end of May 1096, the Jewish communities of Speyer, Worms, Mainz, and Cologne lie shattered. In less than a month, the Rhineland has become a graveyard of faith. The First Crusade has not yet reached Jerusalem, yet it has already drowned in its own blood.
And so the First Crusade, remembered as a march for Christ's tomb, began with the destruction of his neighbors. A mission of redemption turned into a campaign of ruin. The bishops who tried to protect the Jews were few. Those who could stop the violence often looked away.
The chroniclers would later call it a test of faith, of humanity, of conscience. The Jews of the Rhineland saw in it the price of remaining steadfast. The Christians who watched or partook saw how quickly zeal could become cruelty. Centuries later, during the Black Death, that same fear rose again, this time blaming Jews for poisoning wells, spreading plague, defying God. Once more, mobs burned what they did not understand. History repeated itself because Europe never faced what it had become.
The story of 1096 is not just about faith or failure, it's about what happens when belief becomes blind. When religion, politics, and fear intertwine, reason disappears, and the world turns on itself.
The Crusaders thought they were marching to save Jerusalem. Instead, they destroyed their own soul long before they ever reached it. In memory of the Jews of the Rhineland, whose lives were taken in 1096, an estimated 2,000 to 5,000 men, women, and children, may their memory be a blessing, and their faith and courage never forgotten.